I'll probably go 4-4-2 because it's easier in my head at the moment. I'm not even going to start. I'm not even going to name the goalkeeper, because it's just, it's beyond even debate. Obviously, Neville is just a fixation, isn't he? Sort of, the defence is a difficult one, really, because I love Gary Stevens at right back. And I think I can't really see anyone better than that, if I'm being honest. And it's difficult because when you look at the 80s team, you think because they were successful, they should almost automatically be in there. But, that's a little bit unfair in many ways because, there have been good players for this club who've not necessarily been in good teams, But I'm going to go with Gary Stevens. My first centre-half is going to be Dave Watson, because I think Dave typifies everything, and I would love to have put Mick Lyons in there, but Dave was, he was everything, and I think he was actually underrated. Dave, won a title for us, with us, and he was, won the FA Cup with us, and he was just, if you knew him, and I have the benefit of knowing him as a person inside the club and what he did, and he's a proper captain, Dave. I've got to go with Kevin Ratcliffe on the other side. As much as there's been so many, Brian LeBone, who I watched, just loads of them, Still trying to think of that fella's name. Oh God!
It'll come to you as soon as we click the stop button.
I keep wanting to say Martin Keown, but it wasn't Martin Keown, but it was something like that. It was something with a K. No, but so left back, I'm going with Leighton Baines. And again, never won anything at the club, but just a great player to watch, and brought so much to that team. The KL team and the Pienaar team, and the combination with Pienaar was brilliant.
I'm so glad you said Baines, because I had this conversation a couple of weeks back with a group of Evertonian friends, and there was 4 of us, but we were three different generations. And the left back, despite Everton obviously having a good couple of left backs dating back from the 60s, all of us said Leighton Baines, and you said Leighton Baines as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, people look at Pat Van Howe, and but Pat, came into a team which was winning. They were a winning team, and that doesn't mean he wasn't a good player. He was a great player, but I just think you have to look at the things that these players bring to the club. Bainesy was just typified everything of that period. I think and really should have won a trophy. Players like Leighton Baines should have won a trophy. Simple as that. Midfield is very difficult. This has always really upset me, to be honest, because there's 2 players on the left who I want in, and I can't fit them both in, and I can't see past Kevin Sheedy. I just can't. I want Dave Thomas in there, because Dave Thomas was everything for me. He was the best out-and-out winger I saw at Goodison or at Everton. Sheeds was a bit more than an out-and-out winger. He could pick a pass through the middle, and and that's why he's in there, because whilst Dave was brilliant, you give him that ball and he'd be gone, and you knew, which actually part of the head, that Bob Latchford was going to get that ball. I saw him one game where he sent it across, Bob Latchford scored, and then there was another corner, and he sort of he gesticulated towards Bob as if to say, same place. And he did it again, right on the spot, and he scored again. It's just incredible, the intuition between the 2. So Kevin Sheedy gets it. I'm going with Reedy in the middle, because I think he was exactly what we needed at the time. He was. I remember sitting in a stand at Stoke, and Reedy wasn't being picked, and he was in the stand, would you believe, with us in the crowd. And I said, how come? I couldn't believe I was sitting next but one to Peter Reid. I said, how come you're not on the? He said, well, it's either that or sit on the bench with them lot. And it was just before it all kicked off, and you just got the sense, that it wasn't good there. There was, because obviously we know it was difficult. Just before that exploded. So Reedy was so influential. And there's been some great midfielders. And the next one will probably surprise you, but I'm going for Martin Dobson.
Okay, yeah.
Because I want a bit of grace in there, you know, and a bit of flair, a bit of class, you know. And Martin Dobson was like, you know, he could have wore slippers and looked good, you know. Martin, he would stroke the ball around. He was calm. And he'd score a goal. So for me, you know, I'm going for Tricky Trev on the right. I have to, you know, he was such a great player on the right hand side. You know, there'd be many more, but no, Trevor Steven was the man. And the two up front is so easy. Sharpie has to be in there, you know, for his goals, because he could score with every part of his body. Sharpie, you know, and he scored spectacular goals as well, which was fantastic. And the other one, of course, is my old man Bob Latchford. You know, he gave me so much joy in the 70s. When we really didn't have much joy to talk about, you know, he was that thing where you could, you know, when you look at players and you think you can count on him, you know, you could count on Bob Latchford scoring a goal, you know, and I again, my biggest travesty was I wasn't there for the 30th goal, you know, and I hate the fact that I wasn't there for that, you know, because I think I'd seen 28 of them or whatever it was, because I think he scored 2 on the last day, didn't he? But I was actually working in a fish and chip shop for that last game, and
couldn't get it off shift.
What was it? No, we couldn't get it off shift. And what was bizarre was when he scored, I was peeling potatoes in the back, right? And when he scored, I fell to my knees and did this, you know. And then the next day in the papers he was doing exactly the same. And I thought, I wonder if I had some sort of intuition from him, you know. Yeah. And it really made me laugh, you know, because I remember falling, you know, because the guy who owned the chip shop, the Greek guy, you know, he's looking at me, what are you doing? What are you, you know, he thought I was mad, you know. But it was just brilliant and that typified that period, the fact that we were on our knees because someone had scored 30 goals, you know, and not won an FA Cup or not won a, you know, but he was brilliant.